Hello, this is All We Had to Do Was, and today we're going to put together this cigarette box available on my store at All We Had to Do Was at the Etsy marketplace, whatever you want to call it. So these are going to contain lines within the printing. If you can, well, yours is going to be a little bit flatter. I just went ahead and folded this to make the tutorial a little quicker. So these lines right here, there's going to be a couple slits, one right here and then a big one right here. There's lines here going across here, just to help give a visualization. And then just like a real cigarette box, it's going to form together. Might look a little intimidating at first, but we'll get through it. So when I know that I have these lines correct, I like to just go ahead and line these up just to make sure. So these two you're going to want to glue together first, these two tabs down. And then you want to make sure that this flap, so when you're gluing this to this part, this flap right here, this is going to slide in. And you want to make sure that it all kind of boxes together, and that's how you know you folded it correctly. You might have to make a few adjustments, but just take your time, don't rush it. It slides in together pretty good, just like that. Boom, boom. And same thing for the top. You just want to make sure that these can fold in. And then this little slit is going to just slide in here. There we go. And you have that all connected just like the box on the bottom. And that makes this cool little flap. I hope that makes sense. But of course, if you have any further questions, you can always email me, reach out to me on Etsy. I will get back to you as soon as I can. So for gluing, I used to use this tacky glue, but it doesn't hold very well because of the lamination. So I have been using this Gorilla Glue Super Gel. It doesn't have as much. There's this like weird little fill line, and then you gotta shake it to get to the bottom. It's a little irritating, but you use what you find is useful. Worst case scenario, if the glue isn't strong enough, it'll just pop open and then you just have to glue it back together. But if, like I said, if you have any issues or other problems, you can always reach out to me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So like I said, we're gonna glue these tabs down to the bottom of the box first so we can create that shape, but just make sure it's lined up. And like I said, take your time, just like that. Just line it up. Another technique I like to use is when I'm lining it up, I just fold this tab right here at the top so I know it's right there in the corner, nice and snug. Same thing for the other side. Makes it a nice, beautiful top box, part, flap, whatever you call it. Now how you glue this next part is entirely up to you. You could put glue down here and put glue here, and then just carefully line that up just like that. And this little bottom part, that little flap right here, just gonna align perfectly just like that, just snug like a bug in a rug. But then also you need to push this down. Another way I think it might be a little challenging is to just glue this part first, slide that in there just like that, and then pull this flap down and put some glue in. That's completely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. So once you have that all connected, just let it sit for a second so that way it can cure for a moment and you won't get more super glue all over your fingers. Okay, now that that's done curing, I actually just thought about it. Honestly, you could really do any of these steps in any order you're more comfortable with. You could go ahead and glue this part together just like that, and then just make sure you just slide in just like that. But another idea, keep this part open so you can do that holding the flab kind of trick right here. Make sure it's lined up. And what I like to do is just put a small dab of glue in this spot, and then just, you know, make sure it's lined up before I do anything crazy. And just take your time. Lined up just like that. Or, like I said, you can glue these tabs, also holding the edge right here, just like this top part. Just gluing it together. You can have a whole box to put together, and then when that's all glued together, you just slide that in. But I would be a little afraid of some glue seeping out, so I think I'd rather just do it bit by bit like this, if that makes sense. Alright, so I've got a dab of glue on here, and then I'm going to just try to line it up the best I can without pressing it in quite yet. Just take your time, be careful. I'm just pushing that top part right there just to line that up. Like that. I'm just a little worried about gluing it all down at one time, because I'd be afraid that it's crooked. So just take your time and be careful, be patient. Oh. And just like that. The glue might be a little forgiving if you wobble it a little bit, and then just hold it in place just like that. And just let that cure. Okay, don't let it cure for too long. Also, you want to make sure that this flap doesn't get glued down. Unless you don't mind it, but yeah, see, just like that, it's all gonna be glued together. And so I would just go ahead and just, you know, drop a little bit more glue, get here in this corner, so that way it lines up perfectly, and cure it down. Of course, be careful when you're adding more glue in. You don't want to hit the sides, and you don't want to go down too far, because the tab isn't that large. And just make sure it lines up. I added a little too much. Oops. If you add too much, it's just going to seep a little bit. Or spill out a little bit at the top. I hope I'm making sense. Hold it in place just like that. And then of course just let it cure. If you have to hold it longer, do so. Of course, be patient and don't add too much glue like I just did. So to glue this bottom part, you're just going to put a couple dabs of glue right here. You can put a little bit right here, just make sure it's more toward the edge, so that way it doesn't seep out too much or spill. And you're just going to pop it in. You can just kind of open it up just like that, so that way you can slide it in. You make sure that you're not seeping it or spilling it over the top. And then when you're gluing those two tabs down, you can put your fingers in just like that. And then just hold them down, hold it all together just like that. Okay, I got a little bit of glue right here and on each tab. And just like I said, just curl it and then just slide it in just right there. And just pops it right in. Remember, don't use too much glue, it'll spill over. And after you feel like it's held together pretty good, you just let it cure. Alright, and then once it's all cured and ready to go, it's ready for packing. Or if you keep it on display. It doesn't close, but I think it makes a really cool visualization. I personally do not smoke. I do not recommend it. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. But I was able to get a hold of one just to give you a little visualization. I'll put a little lighter in there. Oh. Alright, thanks for watching.